Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. As you guys can tell, I'm going to be talking about the series I read in the month of January and February. However, I'm only going to be talking about the brand new series I read. So series I just started, not any ongoing series, because then this video is going to be way too long. So the first series I'm going to talk about is Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. So I've been currently obsessed with this manga series. As soon as I finished this volume, I picked up the second volume. I've had this volume for quite some time, but I just didn't get a chance to fully sit down and enjoy reading it, but until now. But let me just get into the story real quick. So what I like about this manga series is that the story takes place after the big adventure happened. What I mean by that is that there is a demon lord who a hero group is tasked to defeat. Now in that hero group we have the hero Himmel, we have the mage Frieren, we have a priest. I want to say his name is Keith. I don't remember too well. And then we also have Aizen. So they are tasked to defeat this demon king, and it takes over a course of like 10 years. And the story takes place after they defeat it. So at the beginning, they're going back to the city or village, whatever you want to call it, and they are now like the big heroes. They're making statues of them. And the story is mainly about Frieren as we follow, I want to say, like her daily life after this whole adventure, because unlike her counterparts, she is an elf and she can live for hundreds and hundreds of years. So she will eventually outlive everybody who is in this group. So Frieren herself is a pretty straightforward person. She says what's on her mind. She's honest, which can come off as a bit mean, but she means well overall. So the story itself is not extremely sad. It's just some moments here and there that are just sad, and I did shed a couple of tears. I want to say in this first volume, there was just something that happened that was really sad, and I couldn't help but cry. There's this part in the first volume where they're all seeing a meteor shower that only happens every 50 years, and they're all enjoying themselves, and Frieren comes and says something like, oh, this view kind of sucks, but when the meteor shower comes back in the next 50 years, I'll take you guys to a cool spot I know. And they all kind of just look at her like, will we even be alive in the next 50 years? So instead, they start reminiscing of the past 10 years they spent together, like saying like all the adventures they had. And Frieren again starts saying like, oh yeah, it was a fun short 10 years. And for humans, 10 years is a long time, but for Frieren, who lives for hundreds and hundreds of years, that only seems like a small amount of time together. Like I said, she can come off a bit mean at times, but she does mean well, and she does care for them, as we see like when they start passing away one by one, and she realizes herself that she does care for them. That scene itself was very heartbreaking to see her like that, and her realizing that everybody who she was with at one point will eventually be gone. So yeah, it can get pretty sad at times, but I've been enjoying this so far. So I will be picking up the rest of the volumes. I think there's like 7 volumes out. I only have like the first two, so I'll pick up the next couple of volumes in hopefully the next haul or the haul after that. Now moving on to the next series I read. Okay, so the next series I read this past couple of months was The Two Lions. So I actually picked this up at the end, like the very end of 2022, and I read it in January. Now, this is from the same mangaka who did, I want to say it's called The Summer of You or Summer with You, which I really enjoyed as well. And I really like this one as well. This is just a single volume, so it's a pretty short story overall. I think it's like only like 7 or 8 chapters. In this story, we follow a college student named Junpei, who he's a pretty easygoing guy. He gets along pretty well with everybody, and one day he comes across somebody who leaves a drink on a bench, and he calls out to them like saying like, hey, you left your drink, and this person tells him, you can have it. But Junpei can't help and think that he knows this person from somewhere. And when he bumps into this person again, he asks him like, oh, do we know each other from somewhere? And he says, no, we don't know each other. However, it is pretty evident that this person is trying to avoid Junpei. He doesn't really understand why. But long story short, he finds out that this person is named Leo, and they both went to the same high school together. Now, the reason why Leo wants to avoid Junpei was because when they were both in high school, he had a pretty bad reputation that he was a rough guy and that he was pretty dangerous. And in college, he just wants to make friends. So Junpei being the friendly guy that he is, understands this situation and tells them like, oh well, you know what, I can be your first friend. And that's where their friendship starts, which will eventually lead into something else. Now, I do want to emphasize that this story doesn't have a lot of romance in it. It's mainly about them two getting to know each other and then eventually falling in love, because we know it happens eventually, which I personally don't mind, but like this isn't a story where they see each other at first sight and fall in love. It's not like that. I don't have any problems with series like that, but I just don't want anybody to think that this is what happens, in case you're like interested in picking this up. But yeah, overall, it is a pretty feel good series. I wouldn't expect anything less from this mangaka. I hope we get more English releases of this mangaka's work, because of the two works that I've read so far, I have loved them. Okay, but yeah, only good things about this series. So moving on to the next series I have here. Okay, and then next up I have Hi, I'm a Witch, and my crush wants me to make a love potion. Oh my god, these titles just keep on getting longer and longer, but that was the main reason why I picked up this series. So, in this story, we follow our female lead who is a witch. Now, in this story, witches are known as bad people, but as we get to know our female lead, we know that that's not entirely true. She's a stereotypical witch that lives deep within the forest, and one day a man who is, I want to say he's the captain of the knights, but the whole point is that he's a knight, comes to her doorstep requesting a potion, more specifically a love potion. Now, normally this wouldn't be a problem. However, she is in a bit of a dilemma, because while she does want to help this person, she also likes this man. So what she ends up doing is telling the knight that she is willing to help as long as he brings the ingredients, and that the love potion can take up to, I believe it's like a month or two to make. Now, the knight is very hesitant at first, but he complies at the end of the day. And as he visits her day by day, he realizes that she can be quite a cute and charming person, as well as a person who can barely take care of herself. And he starts forming a friendship with her, which I'm pretty sure you guys know where this is going. But overall, this story so far has been really cute. I really like it so far. I honestly picked it up because the name was kind of funny, but also because of the male lead. You know, he has white and silver hair, and I'm just a sucker for characters like that. And I believe the second volume just dropped or will be dropping soon, so I'll be picking that up as soon as it comes out. Overall, a very cute story, and we do find out in the first volume why he wants the love potion, but I won't spoil that. Overall, very cute, and I highly recommend it so far. Alright, so the next series I have is Kaiju number 8, and as I said it before, I really have been enjoying this series. This is about Kafka, who, when he was a child, he had a dream with his childhood friend that they would both join the defense team. The defense team is basically this team of people who take care of the kaiju that are terrorizing the city. However, we see that now that he's a full-grown adult, he is part of the cleanup crew, while his childhood friend actually made it to the defense team. And we get introduced to this young man who is named Ichigawa, who really encourages and pushes Kafka to try to take the test again. And I really like the dynamic between them two, because even though Kafka is the older adult, he does really take advice from Ichikawa, who is a young adult, and Ichikawa is really the one who uses common sense between both of them. So, you know, we really have to have one that keeps us grounded. But yeah, overall, I have been enjoying the series so far. There isn't really anything else I have to say about it. I got all the volumes that have been out so far. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil anything. Oh, I guess I can mention that, as you can see, Kafka here, like, there's a turn of events and he does end up being half kaiju and half human, and you know, he wants to utilize these powers to kind of make the defense team, but that's as far as I'm gonna go. I do recommend this series, and I honestly can't believe it took me this long to really get into it. But yes, that pretty much wraps up what I have to say about this series. I'm gonna move on to the last series I have here. Okay, and then last but not least, I have Sakamoto Days. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me talk about this series, but I've been enjoying it so much, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I will be briefly describing the synopsis. So, Sakamoto Days is about a hitman called Sakamoto who he ends up getting married and decides to retire. However, there are people who are trying to pull him back to the org, and other people who are just trying to get rid of him completely. Now, what I really like about this series is the characters. Now, I feel like that should be pretty obvious when you're reading a series, but I like the main characters, the side characters, and the antagonists. All of them are pretty cool and fun in their own way. And even though there is a large cast of characters, all of their personalities are very different from one another, as well as their fighting style, which leads up to my other point that Sakamoto Days doesn't really have a power system because there are no powers in this series. So most of the fighting we see is actual like hand-to-hand combat, or they use guns, or they use weapons that's in their environment. Like there's this scene where they're in an airplane, right? And somebody has to kill somebody, but they have a pen. But they utilize that pen to try and kill this person. And I just feel like the mangaka is very clever when it comes to that. Like there's this other character named Mashimo. He's such a cute and gullible character, but when he gets behind the scope, he means business. Now, this character is a sniper, and even though he has great aim, instead of like just shooting straight ahead at his target, he will ricochet the bullet onto multiple places, so the target that's receiving the bullet has no idea where the bullet is coming from, or they can't react fast enough. So I thought that was a pretty cool way how to really like spice up like the character, and honestly it just makes it look pretty cool. Also, side note, all the characters in Sakamoto Days for the most part are adults. There probably is like three teenagers, but they're mainly side characters. Everybody in the main cast are all adults, which I find pretty refreshing for a Shonen Jump series. And even the antagonist. So when we first meet the antagonist, we see that he's just standing there menacingly, not to quote Patrick, but yes, that's exactly what he's doing. But when we meet him the second time, you know, he's riding a bike, he's with his subordinate, he's talking casually, they're stopping at red lights, they end up parking their bike, and it's like, is this the same person we saw in that one chapter? But and then we see that his destination is actually a place where he's about to commit a huge massacre. So you're like, oh, okay, he's this type of person. And to top it off, he has the magical hair I love on characters. But yes, as I mentioned, I've been really enjoying this series. I don't know what else to say about it. I know I said I was going to talk a lot about it in like previous videos, but I don't really want to like repeat myself because that could get kind of boring. But I've been enjoying all the series I've been reading so far. I have a full list on March I have to read. As you guys can see from my previous hauls, I picked up a lot of new series, so I need to get to reading those and maybe make a March wrap up. I don't know yet. But a lot of great series these past couple of months from this new year, and not just from the new series I started reading from, but also from the ongoing series. Like I recently caught up to Jujutsu Kaisen's recent chapters, and woo, those chapters have been crazy. But that's pretty much it for this video. I want to do a stationery haul, hopefully for my next video. I don't know yet. I know I haven't done one of those in a while. And then after that, hopefully another manga haul. We'll see. I don't know what I have planned next for my next video, but we'll see what I end up doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. 하루 끝에 난 밀려 이제 신경 안 써. It must be fine.